Having said that, as I said, education is the most important tool for development. Anything else can wait. Education cannot wait. Because if a whole generation goes out without proper education, then societies will become worse. So, but education is not just acquaintance with subject knowledge or material sciences or humanities or all other subjects which help you to earn some money in the society and contribute some way. Our scriptures talk about two kinds of education. This is from Mundakopanishad, where a very learned rishi goes to another rishi, Angirasa. Shaunaka is the rishi who is very learned. He has done all kinds of rituals, yajnas, yagas. Those were the qualifications. How many yagas you have done, how many kinds of yagas you have done, how many complicated yagas you have done. So that was the qualification to be known as a very learned person. So Shaunako, he Mahashalo, it is says, he was a very great learned rishi who had done several rituals. Mahashala means he had a huge yagashala where all kinds of rituals could be performed. But he was not satisfied with the knowledge that he had gained. He was still finding some void in himself. And so he goes to a greater rishi by name Angirasa and prostrate to him, and then he prays to him that please enlighten me. What is that knowledge that I should know so that I know everything? Because I still feel, despite having learned so much, I still have not learned enough. So he asked, Kasminnu Bhagavo Vijñate Sarvamidam Vijñatam Bhavati iti. What is that, O Bhagavan, O wise one, that I must learn so that I can learn about everything? And that is when our Angirasa says, Dve vidye veditavye iti hasma yad brahma vido vadanti parachaiva paracha. The great ones, the knowers of God, divine, Brahman, have said that two kinds of education one must have. One is para, which is the higher education, and apara, which is the lower education. Now, higher education, lower education does not mean university education and school education. It simply means a higher kind of education and a lower kind of education. And in those days, lower education for the Rishi or the Brahmin class was to know all the scriptures, Shadangas, Vedas, Upanishads, all the rituals. So he said, you have learned that part very well, but that's still a lower kind of knowledge. There is a higher kind of knowledge which is that takes you to your divine self. That makes you realize who you truly are, that makes you understand that you are divine. That knowledge also should be taught. Without that, your education is not complete. Now just take that philosophy and apply it to today's academics and curricula and all the educational institutions. Where are we teaching the higher knowledge at all? We may call ourselves as an institute of higher education or higher sciences or higher learning. But the real higher learning as per our Indian knowledge system is the knowledge of self, knowledge of God. Atma Vidya. Vidyanam. This is what Sri Krishna says. Amongst all kinds of knowledge and the knowledge of the self. And what is this knowledge of self? That you are essentially divine. And what is divinity? Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, or Sat, Chit, Ananda, whichever way, Asti, Bhati, Priyam. There are so many definitions. But the sum and substance is divinity as that supreme, formless, nameless, attributeless consciousness which permeates and pervades everything. Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam. Have we learnt about that? If you haven't learnt about that, you have not learnt much. That is what our scriptures say. You are still an Agyani only. You are not Gyani. Maybe you will call yourself Gyani because you have a certificate. But that doesn't help. I always tell our students, if you go to, at the end, you will meet Yama. As per our scriptures, Yama is the Lord of Death. You know, and he will be there to receive you after you die. And then he'll ask you, why should I give you moksha? Why should I liberate you from the cycles of birth and death? When you say, no, I am a Brahmavida, I am the knower of the Brahman and self. Even Yama bends down, bows down to the Brahmagyani, they say. He's afraid of Brahmagyani, that's what they say. Because Brahmagyani are beyond the jurisdiction of Yama. He cannot control them. These people have gone beyond his authority. So that is the kind of education that our system or our educational system, especially being Indians, being inheritors of that great knowledge system of our Guru Shishya Parampara, we should know that. We should know a bit of Vedas, Upanishads. And as Krishna says, Svalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Even if you know a little of this knowledge, it will destroy the greatest of the fears. What are the fears? What will happen to my future? What will happen to my life? How am I going to be after my old age? What is going to happen after I die? People are afraid of all kinds of things. It says it removes all those fears from you, because once you know the truth that you are not just this limited body with a limited life and all these limited ways. You are infinite expanse of divinity. You don't die. You were never born. You never die. You are ananta, satyam, jnanam, anantam. You are infinite. Therefore, you don't have to worry about things. And what about these daily losses and gains, these pleasures and pains, these successes and failures? These are like the waves in the ocean. Waves will come and go, but the ocean is always there. So it gives you that kind of a fortitude, that kind of a strength of mind, that kind of ability of character to withstand all kinds of ups and downs of life with this higher attitude that nothing is destroyed when a few things are destroyed in this world. And similarly, nothing much is gained if you gain a few things. So you never are egoistic when you are getting success, nor you become very depressed when you have a few failures on your way. You are always equanimous, like the great big ocean. Mayi ananta maham bodho, Ashtavakra says. Jagat vichi svabhavataha, and the world is like the waves on the ocean. Udaitu va astamayatu, name vriddhi na chakshatihi. The waves rise, the waves fall. The ocean doesn't get increased or decreased by that. Ocean is ocean, it remains forever. So our true nature of the self, once we know, we develop a lot of courage and strength. Because we know nothing is getting destroyed, nothing is getting added or reduced to us. We are here as an eternal existence, like the great ocean, on which one degree happens, another degree does not happen. One success happens, maybe one failure happens. These are like waves that come and go. I don't reduce, I don't increase by all these achievements or failures. So this kind of understanding can give so much of mental strength to the youngsters. The kind of depression, I am told 1 in 7 people on the earth at this point of time is going through some mental issue or the other. Absolute state of peace and bliss and happiness is not there for all. And these are scientific records. They're saying that is what people are going through, some anxiety, some depression, some other issue or mental issue. Why it is happening? Because they have not learned Dve Vidya. They have learned only one Vidya, which is how to get a degree, then get an employment and get ahead in life. They haven't learned the other side of it, what is the truth, which will help them to sustain through this process of ups and downs. Life is going to throw challenges. Nobody had a smooth ride, even Rama, Krishna, nobody. Everybody had to go through, but they could survive because they had this spiritual strength to help them. Whereas our students in the universities, nobody is taught all of these things. Because of that, what happens tomorrow if they don't succeed, they don't get what they desire for, or they don't get what they have worked towards, they become very depressed. They get angry, they get frustrated, they go through all kinds of mental anxiety because they don't have the strength. If you want to build better societies, you need better quality of human beings, and better quality of human beings come from better education. And better education is twofold. One, material education, which helps you to earn a living, that is called Jivanopadhi Vidya. The other one is that takes you to your ultimate destination, ultimate goal, which is to realize that you are divine, and that is Jivata Paramavadhi Vidya. Unless we have a blend of these two, our education, according to our scriptures, is not complete. And it's quite obvious, isn't it? Because those who have got education of only one kind, they don't seem to be happy in their lives. They go through so much of anxiety and depression. At least in India, even though educational institutions don't teach the higher education at home, luckily because our parents believe in God, in our scriptures, they have some puja, some archana, some rituals going on, because of which our children have some grounding in spirituality. If even our parents become atheists, imagine there is a neighboring country, all communist, nobody believes in God there. Think of ourselves. Anything happens in India, you go to your elders and cry, this happened to me, I was not deserving of this, why do I suffer? They'll say, some Purvajanma karma will be there, don't worry, God is cancelling that karma. At least we have some answer to console ourselves. Imagine if you are born in a country with no God, no spirituality, what answer will you have? You will be angry. I must take revenge. So if you are not capable of taking revenge also, you want to go and take revenge. At least here you settle down saying, if I can't do anything about it, I will accept it, saying God knows what is best for me, and I will see the silver lining in the dark cloud and move on in life. But here, other places, not possible. This is the trauma, this is the trouble that other countries and kids are having. Because there's no education about spirituality in the schools, which is why what the state versus church dilemma. And the other issue is At home also parents don't talk about God or good things, because of which children have no anchoring, no grounding, and that is why societies are getting worse. So this is the problem that society is going to face if we do not teach them some bit of values and education in spirituality, especially in countries and homes where even parents don't talk about it. That's very important, that we somehow start a conversation. Let's have a debate. And Sanatana Dharma is so strong. I keep telling our students also, Sanatana Dharma says, if you don't understand or don't like what I say, you can challenge me. You can argue it out. Vada was the method of education in the old times. If you want to establish your philosophy as the better one, you have to engage in a debate. Remember Adi Shankaracharya Mandana Mishra debate? They debate, and after that they convince, either you convince me or you get convinced. This is how it was. So Sanatana Dharma can argue its case because it has all the truth in it. If there was no truth, then you will lose the case. But you can always argue. Sanatana Dharma gives you threefold acceptance. One, Shastra Pramana. It says, read the scriptures or the gurus, whatever they tell. First, take that as the postulation or theory. Second, Tarkavadam. Argue it out in your mind or with people who are of knowledge and ask questions and get the answers. And third, Anubhava, he says. Experience the truth for yourself. Example, I'll give you, kids are there. Somebody tells you some Newton in some point in time whom you never seen or heard, discovered gravitational force. You all agree, okay, so you mug up the name Newton, one apple fell on his head or whatever the story is, and he discovered gravity exists. Then next thing what you will do is that first your teacher will say, okay, these are Newton's law. You have to remember. So you accept that. Next what you do, you argue it out. Why the apple fell down only? Why it didn't go up? The teacher will say, you see everywhere gravity pulls things, the larger objects pulls the smaller objects, the gravitational force. Now drop and see, the teacher will say. Then you drop and you see every time it is going down only. Keep doing that again and again. Then slowly you develop conviction in the force of gravity and come to a conclusion. You can always fly a plane or whatever, paper plane, but it will finally go and fall. Maybe a feather will float for some time because of the winds, and then again it will come down and settle when the winds breeze are not there. So somehow or the other, the child can experiment in many different ways and finally convince oneself that gravity exists. This is what is science, isn't it, all about? It's about asking questions, it's about finding how it happens, and ultimately that is what is scientific inquiry, and then finally you accept the science behind it. Our Sanatana Dharma says, do that to our truths also. You say you are not the body, you are not the mind, you are Atman. Argue it out, how am I Atman? You say you are never born, you are never dying. There is the truth of you always existent. You are Satyam, Anantam, Jnanam. Argue it out. And Sanatana gives you all methods and means to do it. Debate it out. And finally you will come to a conclusion with experience only, it says. Finally a child will be convinced only if he sees an apple dropping onto the floor. Then he says, yes, Newton was right. Similarly, when you experience that experience of divinity in your heart, that's when you know that this is true. Of how to teach our next generation these fundamentals of spirituality. It has no religion in it. It is only spirituality. And that talks about your existence as more than just this body and mind which comes and goes. And that gives tremendous strength of mind. It helps you to build your character. It helps you to make the right decisions. And therefore you will never harm anybody and you will never come to any regrets in life.